final week of the regular season Schmeat Nation 3 podcast presented by Power Director. I'm your host, Kieran, and for the last time in regulation, Adam Rocket, co-host. How we doing?
Doing well. Getting ready for this playoff extravaganza. I can't wait. Fantasy playoffs is always a great time. Yeah. Once again, death, taxes, and Adam in the playoffs. Those are the three constants of life. The only things you can guarantee.
You cannot be stopped. And I get to almost have a guarantee, get some participation in that this year. So should be exciting. We'll have our usual video as normal, and then maybe things will shake up in the playoffs. Who knows? Shout your suggestions out in the comments. But let's jump into the matchups. Get this cruising.
Jump right into it, yeah.
And the big one, the playoffs start now. Matchup of the week. I take down Max. I felt like my team had the ability to do it, and I did. And it feels good. Hadn't won in a month. Forgot what it was like. It was awesome.
Yeah. Huge win for you, winning when it mattered. This was almost the start of the playoffs for you. Yeah, you really needed to come out of this one ahead, and luckily the team got it done when it did. Not too explosive of a week, but just got it done. Max hitting a little bit of a dud there. You know, he didn't get his Travis Kelce, Justin Jefferson win scenario, and therefore he's putting up around 100 points, as we've been saying all year.
Yeah, it's interesting. His other guys stepped up, but couldn't get it done, and a little soft noodle going at it, but it was kind of a weird week. A lot of players went down, I think, on my team. Yeah, Burks, Hurst, and Ken Walker. So that would have sucked if it came close or I lost.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't be in the Snapchat group chat popping off about injuries and all that. So we'll jump right along. We'll take a look at the playoff picture before we go into the power rankings. So hopping into a beatdown, a statement victory here, putting yourself in contention now for a bye.
After this game, I just go back and think, how does Parker have 10 wins? I mean, you know, I beat him twice this year. Like, what's everyone else doing? That's what I'm questioning after this win.
Yeah, it was annihilation. I mean, I think it was pretty bye heavy, but like I definitely was doing a couple double takes, and then had to remind myself that he's got some dogs on his bench. That should shake things up. A good pickup by Parker. I mean, Samaje P. definitely should have went in waivers a couple weeks ago, but slipped through the cracks, and he just scooped him up on like a Friday after hearing Joe Mixon was gonna sit. So he is almost better than Mixon on a per week basis, just because no one's behind him. So we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Joe Mixon gets back, if they're sort of splitting the roles 50-50 for that first week back. So hopefully for Parker, that's this coming week, and he doesn't have to deal with that in playoffs. Or I guess he doesn't really have any game that matters for another 2 weeks. So
yeah, this is just
he'll get that figured out for Bengals. Yeah.
Hope my players don't get hurt simulator.
Exactly.
For most people at this point. So a solid week from you. I mean, we know the ceiling and absolute utter domination from Amon-Ra and CMC, and then just solid floors left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some low.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my team. Just it's mostly my tight end position that I'm a little bit questionable about ever since the Zach Ertz injury. But hopefully we could get that figured out before playoffs. Yeah, not sure where to go forward from here. There's not much to be picked out on the waiver wire in terms of tight ends.
Yeah, it's hard out there. And moving into another one, this is some slight devastation on Jasper's side. He's got to be a little shaky in the confidence, but Jamie picks up another massive win. It's just too little too late. We always spoke that like this is in the cards, and it just never really came to fruition. But I mean, look at the numbers. You love to have weeks like this. You should have some competitive games in the losers bracket.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this comes down to that Browns defense putting up 31 points. You're not going to get that every week, but yeah, it's just a little bit too little too late in terms of like the DeAndre Swift pick there. He's finally putting up numbers that are worthy of where he was drafted. It's just unfortunate that it's coming at this point.
Yeah, and on Jasper's side, the Lamar Jackson injury, I actually think this kind of just helps him moving forward because Lamar really wasn't doing a whole lot. I guess he had just come off like his best game in a while, but 25 is the max he's had since week 3. Like nothing great. In 6 point QB, you can easily find someone who gets 25 off the wire.
Hmm.
So that should give him some solace. And I like the pickup that he had this week in free agency, and we'll talk about that moving forward. But I mean, other than that, like Alvin Kamara's obviously
Yeah.
should do better, but hasn't recently, and then just some absolute beasts in this 3 stack right here. And we'll talk more about the projections and injuries for him later. And jumping into
Hmm.
the next one, an absolute beatdown to shut the door on Eddie. A heartbreaking loss, but he just didn't have it, and it all comes down to the long play by you with the trade, the big
Yeah,
brain
just
moves.
yeah, using my galaxy brain to shut any hopes of Eddie making the playoffs down. I knew this was going to happen this week, and I had to line it up perfectly for Brad here. But in a more realistic regard, I do regret that trade so much. It's so unfortunate to see, but we'll see how it comes down to in playoffs. Yeah, I mean, this is just what it comes down to for these two teams. They're setting themselves up nice for the losers bracket. I don't think either of these guys will come in last place, so at least they have that. But unfortunately, they just couldn't put the wins together to make the playoffs at all this year.
Yeah, it just had the writing on the wall with the revenge game for AJ Brown, and obviously Jalen Hurts gets to go with that. But Brad's team is pretty insane at this point. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
not a whole lot going, and then I still think Eddie has a great team, but couldn't pull it together when it mattered. Otherwise, this week would be spicy. It would be a
Yeah,
fun one, but
exactly.
that's how it goes. And jumping in, we got Connor picking up a clutch win. Gets to keep himself in the buy spot for now over Reese. A lot of talk and smack going back and forth, but it was a gritty game, low scoring, a fun one to
Yeah, a little
watch.
bit
And
of yeah, just a defensive stand by both teams, sucker punching back and forth, pretty much like a Saints Bucks game goes. But yeah, I mean, both of these teams have solid pieces all around. Reese unfortunately has to face the Justin Fields bye this week, so it'll be interesting to see. I need both of these guys to lose next week for me to lock in the bye, so that's what my fingers are crossed for. This is a big win for Connor in terms of my playoff standing.
there you go. So he's keeping you alive. And I I think you predicted this one. I said there's a chance these guys go off and then they combine for 15 or something. So good work there.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not do good in the matchup predictions.
Yeah,
Well,
for real.
jump into the
It's
next one
been a
here.
long week since we had a 5-win week. No one's gotten the elusive 6 wins in
It's
one
hard.
week
It's
for us.
hard.
Yeah.
We got Seth with an upset none of us saw coming with victory over Kalen here. I thought Kalen's team was really shaping out to look great. Obviously, a Jimmy Garoppolo injury. I mean, 22 points is pretty easy to get for a QB in our league, so that might have made the difference. Probably did make the difference, but Seth gets the win. I mean, you got to pick guys who aren't going to get hurt. You need some real men out there. And on the
Yeah,
back of
I
just a beast in Adams.
yeah, Devonte Adams he's had a lot of ups and downs this year. I feel like he's had a fair amount of 30 plus point weeks, but then it seems like at least early on in the year he was just disappearing. And I honestly think that's what brought Seth's team to his fate currently. Just Devonte Adams not showing up when he kind of needed to put up big weeks all the time with the numbers that Seth was going against. So not necessarily Seth's fault that he's in this position. It's just unfortunate. That's the way fantasy goes sometimes. And then on Kalen's side, yeah, I mean, like most of his team did exactly what they were projected or outperformed, other than Jimmy Garoppolo. I believe that if Jimmy Garoppolo did play this game, Seth probably would have won. So Kalen would have won. So it's unfortunate for that injury.
Yeah, and it all comes down to seeding. This was a big one for losers bracket seeding. So,
Yeah.
and that's big. So jumping into the standings, as it's been kind of the whole time, with obviously a little bit of uncertainty last week, but now I do have a 99% chance if Max goes sicko mode and puts up, what does he need?
He's the last place in
350
score.
points. If he puts 400 points, it's weird because I had 100% chance on like Monday night after everything ticked over, and then Tuesday morning it changed to 1. So who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe ESPN knows something. I didn't know he was the
yeah, man.
last place
Crazier
points
things have
for.
happened, right?
That's wild. Is he like lowest? He's not even lowest. My God, how did Max end up with the schedule he had?
Where he
That's
just
crazy.
puts it together. Like when he
Yeah,
loses, he just loses big.
yeah.
But
No
then,
one. I
yeah,
guess that does make sense because he won't have guys in. Sometimes he wins on those games too. But
yeah.
jumping in. Oh, this is not what we want. Wait, I set up for this. Jumping into the playoff bracket. Here's where it remains. So I always picture that it's always sunny thing of him looking at the wall when people are talking playoff scenarios. But in theory, you have two guys that could lose ahead of you. So
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens for the final playoff picture because there is still a lot of movement that could happen here. The only thing that's locked in at the moment is Parker with that bye because I think even if he loses and Connor or Reese wins, he'll still have the points for by a lot. So Parker pretty much, yeah, like you said, is just playing so that or hoping that his guys don't get hurt.
yeah, 2 weeks in a row of bye. That's gotta feel nice in fantasy. He'll be playing for cash. And down in the losers bracket section, we have a repeat. Kalen could be getting thirsty down in the bottom here. You don't want to be in this little section. You don't want to be in these bottom two games in round two. So
Yeah,
winning this one is big because you secure yourself not coming in last place. And then obviously winning here is huge as well. So you almost want to
yeah.
be here. Never mind. You don't want to be there.
Well,
Edit that
I
out
think
because that makes me look stupid. If you win here, you
if
get
you
to go up
win,
there.
yeah, so you get that chance to play. Or if you win either of the top two games, then you're safe from elimination, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
win 2 in a row in this bottom slate. So
Not necessarily. You could lose the first one and then win.
that's true. Damn, the gamify
Yeah,
you can
there's a
do
lot
down
of
here.
scenarios. Yeah,
So
there's a lot of scenarios
that's why it is
for
fun
the
when there's a
losers bracket.
punishment because it's like ending down here is like, ooh, that's the worst. So season's not
Yeah.
over for sure. Especially in the waiver system we have, I do feel like it's important for these people down in the bottom to remain active. Obviously, I'm the one at 6, so if there's fluke drops, I would want them not to be active, but it's kind of annoying when people aren't wavering anymore and the people who are lower down just get like people hand fed to them. So keep it up, boys. You're doing well. And Max, who knows?
Yeah.
You could be up here. You never know. Weirder things have happened.
Yeah.
Jumping in to the power rankings. I was gonna say the last ones. I don't know what we'll do for power rankings in the playoff. Not super big deal, but I guess we'll see what happens next week. But there you go. I not a ton of movement in a while for the most bit, but now we're locked in.
Yeah, I think the biggest mover is Jasper, it looks like, with that big loss that he had to Jamie. But with the Lamar injury, that's acceptable. Yeah, I mean, most of these teams have just been hovering around the exact same spot for most of the last couple weeks. There's been quite a bit of movement on the bottom, I think, but it's not too much to talk about in terms of that.
Yeah, I
Parker
mean,
still keeping that number one spot on lockdown. His team still looks good. Just imagine if he had Cooper Cup.
it would be insane. And then obviously
That
Reese
being said, I
moving
did
down a
pull
couple.
really close to him in points for, so
There
that
you go.
should be
So
me. I
in
should
theory,
be
if
in one
he
of the buys.
loses and you beat him by 3 points, you could have the top spot. Is that true?
No, he's
That's
got
not
two
true.
games on me.
Never
Yeah.
mind. But no, we could. I was saying before we could sit here all day and talk like different scenarios,
Yeah.
but I think we should talk Reese jumping down to. For me personally, it's the Fields out, and it's hard to get confidence in his team. But why did you drop him?
It's a similar sort of thing, Justin Fields being out. And I think I've said it the whole time. I just like I don't really see it with his like I can't explain what it is, but his team just doesn't look good to me. He's got like Stephon Diggs and Tyler Lockett, but other than that, I just don't like his team. I don't know.
And sometimes that's all you need. But yeah, I mean, he's
Like
had low
I don't like
projections all
Zeke
year,
or Najee. Yeah, I mean
and
he
you
has
talked
low
about it,
points
but it
for.
doesn't matter.
He's got
That's
like 150 less points on the season than me. So I mean, it kind of feels bad to be in my scenario where he has a higher place in the standings than me right now. But like I said, I just don't like his team.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like usually if there's someone who's low points forward but they're in playoffs, you're like, oh shit, they're kind of trending up. Like Brad last year, it was pretty obvious that he was gonna make some sort of a run because his team just looked gross. But it feels like it's a very neutral trend here for Reese. But we've hated him all
Mm-hmm.
season. It just fuels him. So
He just got on those big win streaks on the back of Justin Fields, and it's like, is he going to keep putting up 40-point games? I mean, I think he only had like 20 last week, so that's his win scenario. Is pretty much it just lies on Justin Fields.
yeah, and that week one matchup, it's pretty pivotal for Reese to somehow slip into the bye week here because week one against Philly
Yeah,
is going to be huge. So, any more you want to say on the power rankings?
I think I'm all set. We can get right into the matchups.
Yeah, that works for me. I need to go 6-0, and I'm going to pick the opposite of what you pick in every game. The only chance. Then that's how we ride.
Yeah.
Take me to the promised land. All right, jumping in. Well, the first one. This is a good one. It could be back to back. There's some scenario out there where I play Connor this weekend, next week, but we won't go into that one. Otherwise, this potential could meet in the playoffs again, and that would be exciting because it
Hmm.
looks like it's going to be a big one, a heavyweight battle. It was a heavyweight battle back in week 3 where Connor edged me out for his first win and then started just slinging
Yeah,
wins
just
left
rattled
and
off
right.
like 8 in a row after that.
That's a big
Yeah,
one.
I think you. Yeah,
I'm ready to get
go
hurt
ahead.
again with Mike Williams. Will be the last thing I say. And honestly, a lot that this is nice that I secured it last week because there's 2 guys on my roster that couldn't play. Jalen Burks has a concussion. I might need to start dropping people. We'll see how it sorts out.
Yeah, just going in initially, I feel like the players themselves, their matchups are pretty solid on your end in terms of Justin Herbert going up against Miami. I think that could be a pretty good shootout. And both DK Metcalf and Ken Walker going up against Carolina, that's potential to have both those guys get 20 plus points. And then Josh Allen going against the Jets. I mean, they lost to the Jets earlier this year, right?
Yeah, and it
So
was scrappy. So
hmm. I mean, any touchdown that Eckler's getting, you're probably getting points from Justin Herbert on that. So I don't think Eckler rushes for that many touchdowns. Honestly, most of them feel like they're receiving.
yeah,
And then
usually they
Juju and
pass.
Marquez going up against Denver, that feels like they could possibly get shut down there. So there's a lot of things that could happen in this game, but I honestly like your matchups a bit more. I'm going to take you. So,
The ultimate test of
oh,
the challenge. I just realized
yeah.
too, like all of my guys are playing at home, which is always nice too to gas them up. I will say, like when I was looking at all the teams, I am worried for Connor's team, like moving forward. Like I think we've said it all year though, where the wide receivers just look so weak in the flex, but maybe that just doesn't matter because his guys
Yeah.
have some nuke potential. So we'll go for it. Yeah, I'll go Connor here. It looks pretty good. I like it. Uh,
Yeah.
my victory, I think, is the catalyst for some wacky playoff scenarios. So if I can
Yeah.
keep it
I
the
need
way
you
it
to
is,
win.
I kind of like that 6 seed. It's my favorite number. So let's ride. I'll end 7-7.
Yeah.
Jumping in, we got the Lamb Bowl 2.0.
You ready?
Oh, brother.
It was a close one in week 3, and it's projected to be a close one again. Every time the Lamb Bowl is in, it's like a Thanksgiving matchup, you know? Like you just want to bunch
Yeah.
out the chompy food, smother it in gravy, and just watch as 2 brothers duke it out. I guess in theory too, Brad will have the slight edge because he'll put in a kicker, so this one will be fun to watch.
He's got a massive bye week. That's insane. Are those all Packers players?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
and
Bears.
Chicago and Atlanta. Holy shit.
Yeah, my God, it'll be interesting to see who he
Both of
rolls.
them have a ton of buys. What? They saved all their buys for this week. My God. Are there 6 teams on buy this week?
Yeah,
There must
it's a
be. Wow.
brutal. I don't know why they would do that for fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
What were they thinking in mind?
Yeah, this could be a matchup where Devonte Adams, I mean, like I said earlier, I think he's either going to get his 30 plus or he could disappear in this game depending on how Ramsey plays. I don't think he's been doing that great, but Devonte Adams could get shut down. I don't know. And
I
then
feel like
on
Adams is
Brett,
just the best receiver in the NFL right now. Like
yeah,
obviously he's hot and cold because of his QB situation, but like his separation recently is insane. You just look out there, you're like, oh, who's he throwing it to? Oh, why is he that
just a
open?
wide open Devonte.
How's that not the game plan?
As a
So,
defense, it's like how do you lose track of this guy? But yeah, he's just that good.
yeah. On Brad's
Yeah,
side,
I think this one's tough. Yeah.
I like, yeah, Brad's team is just so good. It like is a shame that the season kind of worked out the way it is, and obviously he's getting hit with a lot of buys now. But you look at it last week, and the players in there are players that you expect to be on championship teams. Obviously, that helps with like a when he was already down bad trade that then couldn't secure him enough wins. But I do love Brad's team in this one. But who are we taking?
Oh man, I don't know. I think I am going to have to go with Brad on this one. I think his team just has that slight edge. Just Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown seem like they could win it alone.
I love it, dude.
So
I'll take Seth. Can he go 2 in a row against Bradley? Dare I say he can?
we shall
I
see.
such a like. There's a few teams in this bottom six where you're like, thank God they're not in the playoffs because going against Cowboys D, like it's insane. It's it's right up there with the Pats of old who are averaging like 15 points a game. I mean, 10 from your defense and it's just so consistent. It's nuts. So
Yeah.
thank God Seth isn't there. I love to avoid that one. And Jamie trying to spoil your fun here. 5-8 versus 8-5 you coming into it, and she's been hot of late. So how are you feeling going into
Yeah.
this one? Obviously, I guess as well the projection will lean in her favor because she'll swap out Cortland Sutton.
Yeah. I honestly I woke up this morning and I looked at my team and I was like, huh, I guess I'm only projected 120 points, which felt a little low to me, but I guess I do have Jonathan Taylor on bye, so that's a bit rough for me. I have to play both Darius Slayton and Josh Palmer. It depends on if Mike Williams plays. If Josh Palmer could get up to that 12-point projection, but even with both Keenan Allen and Mike Evans out on the field, like that one game that he popped off, he saw like 12 targets. I guess Mike Williams went down pretty early in that game, but still, I think he's a viable option, especially in a game that could be a shootout like Miami. I think he might be good for a touchdown. It'll be interesting to see the DeAndre Swift versus Jamal Williams utilization because that could be what this matchup comes down to. They're sort of knocking Jamal Williams at this point, but he's always there near the end zone. So he could fall in for 2 this weekend. You never know.
Yeah, this game should be fun. I didn't realize the amount of just like parity between you two teams, but that one will be exciting. And I really feel like Mike Williams won't play, so I think this will be a smash start for Josh Palmer, and he'll beat the projection there. So,
Yeah, I obviously am taking myself. I still believe in the team. I think they're going to out projections. I don't really get too those.
that's how you go on a ride of die of old. I'm taking both my ride or dies. It only makes sense in the final game of the regular season. Give me Jamie. Let's go pulling upsets. Shut the door. Jumping in here, we got oh man, another 3-10 versus 10-3. Parker dominated the last one. Kalen might be out for some revenge. I think this started just some utter doom for Kalen's season back in that time. So he is starting, however, the Watsonator. So we'll see. He looks like absolute garbage last week. So I can't imagine the expectations are any higher against Cincinnati. But why not? He's got nothing to lose. So besides morals.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you sacrifice morals to stay out of doing stand-up comedy. So, yeah, we'll see if it works out for him.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, it really just depends on if he starts running.
When he gets everyone in there, it does look just so gross. And if Dallas Goedert can come back this year, that'll really help him in his playoff push. It's really tough to see a win scenario that Kalen can go. I mean, he more than anything, needs Parker's team to kind of stink. If there's any game where I feel bad about taking the opposite of you, it feels like this one, unless you're predicting something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have to take Parker. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You could take Parker if you want, you son of a gun.
Yeah, Parker's team it's so safe. Like and that's
Yeah,
why he is
I
where
mean,
he is. Like he has just consistent guys.
yeah, having Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, and Chris Godwin, I mean, all of those guys are just like the possession, like the framework, the prototype of a possession wide receiver. They all just get double digit targets every game, and they have the ability to run after it. So, I mean, they don't even need touchdowns to be relevant in fantasy. Is the thing with that, which just leads to consistency, which is why his team is so good. I mean, yeah, there's not much more to say about it.
Yeah, and their pop-off games will really just add 6 to their normal totals because they just fall into the end zone, like, and
Yeah.
maybe a couple times. So you love to see it. I guess I'll take Parker here. I really just not to super jinx it, but I also think super jinxing it would be hilarious. But there's really just no way.
Yeah.
His average and his projection, like it's just because that's exactly what his team does every week.
Yeah.
And jumping in, I think this one should be a good one, but I also feel like Jasper's team, even though he's down a Lamar Jackson, he's got to fill in here in Jared Goff that I really, really like. I think the kind of point damage that he might receive is negligible with Jared Goff in there, especially against Minnesota at home. And
Mm-hmm.
the same way ESPN projects all these check marks, I do as well. I think this is another one that's close to no chance.
Yeah, I mean, Jasper's team has looked pretty disgusting for a while now. The Nico Collins thing is a bit questionable, but I guess he's got to dip into the waiver wire with Kamara being on by Kamara and McLaurin.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have many other options in terms of that. But you never know. I mean, Nico Collins, they're probably going to be behind against Dallas, so he could catch a couple balls. But Kyle Allen being the QB there isn't very inspiring for fantasy
Nah, they're going
production in
back to
terms of
David
those wide
Mills.
receivers. Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
making the pivot. They said Lovie Smith, quote, 2 games on the bench has done well for him. So they're throwing him out against Dallas. Get out there.
Yeah,
So you know they'll
exactly.
be behind, so they'll be slinging it. I don't hate the play, but I mean Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, those guys can probably carry
Yeah,
it.
but he's also got Josh Kelly in there. Oh my God.
Yeah,
This
I might
could
have
be a
been
weird, like,
slanting.
I don't know. Max does have a little bit of some questionable, like, he just has to look at his app and move the guys from his bench back in. So he should be better than what his projection is
That's
at.
true, man. I really leave it to you because this one could go either way. I was talking
Yeah,
mad smack, but it could go either way. I guess in
I think
reality, I want
I
Jasper
haven't,
to
I don't think
lose.
I picked a, yeah, I don't think I've picked a upset yet. So I'm going to do it here. I'll take Max. I'm not scared.
There you
Max
go.
with a score of 400 to beat you out in the playoffs.
Yeah, what am I even thinking? That's like just exactly what's gonna happen. So give me J Yip. I'll take it. We'll make it fun. It feels like a gimme, but then you look at the names, you're like, maybe not. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Jasper's team, yeah, I think it's really good. The playoff teams all seem really solid. Obviously, there is some like question marks for a 6-week stretch, but we sorted it out. So jumping in here to, oof, man, what a spicy matchup of the week. Let's fucking go. We got Eddie versus Reese here. Eddie trying to keep Reese out of the bye. And I mean, this is what you love to see. It's like, even if you're not in, you still want to win. You want pride. You want to
You
ruin
still
someone
got to
else.
care, man. You
If
got to
Reese doesn't have a
care.
bye and he gets out
Play
week 1,
spoiler.
that's all Eddie. That's all Eddie.
It really spiced up earlier today.
You
And we're
love to
really
see
pulling for Eddie here, man.
it.
His team, I mean, I think his team looks good. Like his team, I feel like, look at all those projections in the double digits. I mean, He's got a solid team. Dameon Pierce going up against Dallas could be tough. I think Dallas has a top run defense, but then again, he's got Tony Pollard on the other side. So Tony Pollard this could be a 30-point game for him. I could see him having 2 like 60+ yard touchdowns.
His team is phenomenal. I mean, I feel like we've said it all season. I think there was a stretch of like 3 games where we are like, Eddie, he really traded away all his good players, but then these other guys really just kind of came through. I mean, the player rankings are that of a playoff bound team, and he just couldn't get it together. And we talk about that importance of winning early and stealing those wins. So a shame on his side, and on Reese's end, it's like we've never had a lot to say good things wise, and it's been fueling him and fueling some smack talk, but it's done enough, and you can see the good pieces, and he's built around it with some guys that are just, they don't put up a ton, but they do enough to back up a Stephon Diggs, and Jesus, that was a weird way to say it, and then a Tyler Lockett as well. So you love it, and George Kittle always has that sneaky ability. We'll see though with Mr. Irrelevant behind center, but I just think the smack talk alone on Sunday, like, I'll be there for.
Yeah, I'll be reading on my phone. Yeah, I just I don't see the pop-off potential of Reese's team, and maybe it's just because I have not looking hard enough, or I don't want to see it. But it's outside of Stephon Diggs and Tyler Lockett, it doesn't really seem like his team can go off, so to say. Especially with Justin Fields out, I think that cripples his team so much. Yeah, it just puts such a ceiling on it.
Yeah, this is a big week. I almost said a big Reese for him. A big week for him because he really wants that bye. There's some question marks with Justin Fields against Philly, but will it be able to go? Who are you taking?
I'm gonna take Eddie here. I think Eddie's gonna play spoiler for Reese.
Yeah, it was
and I think it'll lead
matchup.
to a lot of really good conversation in the Snapchat.
And that's what it's all about. It was scrappy week 3. I'll take Reese here. I think it'll be tough, but I think he can pull through. Look at all these home matchups he has. Me too. Me too, man. He's playing at home. He's got dogs. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, for real.
And that'll do it. That puts a bow on the regular season.
Videos, yeah.
It's crazy. Thank you to everyone who watches. The viewer count, especially those of you not in the league. I don't even know what you're doing. I don't know why you're watching.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we could be entertaining for you.
Yeah, just keep it along with Schmeat Nation 3. So we'll try to do some fun stuff in playoffs and maybe a wrap-up video. But anything else you got?
I got nothing left. Yeah, just
that's it.
Happy playoffs, everyone.
Good luck. End the season strong. We'll see you all next week.